a few modules. So just wanted to like ask you a few questions.
Oh, go for it. All yours.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, good content. Really easy to understand, digest. I think that's what exactly I was looking for. So,
Oh,
um,
thank you. I put so much work into that, and I've always tried to like simplify things as much as possible. That's always been
yeah,
my superpower, I hope. So thanks for
yeah,
sharing that feedback. And any
yeah.
questions you have, like, I love feedback because I want to I could add more to it or clarify things. So
Mm, yeah,
let's go.
yeah,
Let's dive into it.
yeah. You said that. I mean, we kind of talked about this last time too. That the accurate expenses is more than 50%. And then you just assume it's gonna be 50%. But what if like seller lies and they like tweak the numbers and it's actually like 65 or 70%, and then we calculate to 50? How can we cover that?
Yeah, it's a great question. It never happened to me. Well, actually, it did on my mobile home park. That's why you just need experience with it and still build in cushion. Like you said, you can fabricate these P&Ls, right? Like you could lie about the income you collect, you can lie about the expenses you collect, and there's no repercussions to the seller for fabricating these documents, right? So that's
Yeah,
the downside of like commercial real estate compared to like residential. Residential, there's a lot more protections in place, but they have fewer protections because they assume that if you're buying an apartment, you're a more sophisticated investor, you have more money. So it's just kind of the risk that we take as an investor. So that's why it really helps when you have like experience in the market. And, if you're really suspicious about things, you can deep dive into it. Like, there's other ways to find out, like, oh, did, plumbing break, did all this break? But then, like you said, they can lie about that too. And you can do an inspection and everything can check out. So it's really hard. That's a great question. But a typical property where you have decent occupancy, like if it's not fully just vacant, you know,
mm,
if you have decent occupancy, then your expense ratio is like around 50%. Like most of the deals that I've underwritten, like I've done hundreds and hundreds of deals. Um,
mm,
so I just say it takes comfort. I'm not sure if we hit the homework assignment yet, but basically, I think I want you guys to look on LoopNet and like analyze a bunch of deals just to get comfortable underwriting it really quickly. And then you'll start to see like a lot of P&Ls. And once you kind of see P&Ls, you'll get a sense of like what the expenses kind of are. But
mm,
yeah, there's no protection. Like honestly, like I could fall into that trap. You could fall into that. Anyone can fall into that trap where they lie about the expense. But the only way it would be like 60, 70% of your expense if your occupancy was fabricated, right? So
mm.
like for example, my 20 unit, um, the expense ratio was pretty high because I had about 8 people out of 20 living there. So of course, like percentage wise, the expense can be high. So that's
Mm.
the only situation that I can think of where like expenses will be higher. But if it's like 90% occupied, it's hard to really imagine the expense being that high, unless like some major stuff happened, like plumbing, roof,
But
electrical.
yeah, but those stuff we should be able to find once we have the inspections, right? So
Yeah, exactly. And even like yeah, once you do the inspections, you can get an accurate sense of like, okay, like this is are these still good? Are they end of life? If they're end of life or they got a year or two left, like how much is it going to cost? At that point, you can start to anticipate that. And think about it too, like you have a lender putting in most of the money in the deal, right? It's not just you. You're just putting 25% down. So the lender um, looks at the deals too. And obviously you can fabricate the numbers to lenders, but the lenders have their own underwriting criteria too.
mm, yeah, that's
If you think
true.
about it, like in my deals, I put down 25%, right? If it's $1 million deal, I put in 250. The bank put in 750. So you kind of have like someone looking over your back. But yes, I mean, if the numbers are fabricated, ultimately you're liable for it, right? But if if worst case you file bankruptcy or whatever, the bank just gets the deal back and they get your down payment, and then they have to then offset the properties. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of checks and balances in place. Uh,
Mm,
because if the expense ratio is 70%, the net operating income is going to be low, and it's not going to cover the monthly DSCR of 1.25. In that case,
Yeah.
you won't even get financing on it. So
So when I underwrite, I don't know, should I be more conservative and be like 60%, or do you think 50% should be good enough?
I think from my experience, 50% it has been good enough from my experience. You could do 60%, but you just know that if you underwrite that way, you're going to be making lower ball offers than most people. So it just might, I mean, you'll get a deal eventually, but it's just gonna take you longer, right?
Mm,
Because your offer price might be lower than somebody underwriting at 50%, right?
yeah.
So it's fine to do that, but just know that like it's gonna be hard for you to find a deal, which is fine. I mean, you can find one or two of these deals and you're financially free. So just be intentional in like why you're doing it, right? Like if you underwrite at 60% to be conservative to make you feel better, know that it's going to take you longer to get a deal, which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, it's better to have like one good deal versus like three okay deals, right? In the short span. So it really depends on your strategy.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
helpful. And I was actually doing, I think I'm at the homework assignment thing, so I did like five of them. But a lot of them didn't have expenses on LoopNet.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you have to email the broker and ask for it. Sometimes they'll give you the offering memorandum.
Mm.
Which markets are you looking at?
Oh, I mean, I was looking at like Bay Area just like for funsies. I'm
Okay.
like, oh, like I'm curious, like what are things out here? So I did like one or two, and then I told you last time like I have a property in Philly, so I was looking at Philly, and then I think Illinois. Like I went to school there, so like I was looking at Illinois a little bit, and then yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So just keep on underwriting and sometimes you might have to contact the broker or email them and just say, hey, can I get like a
I think
P&L? And they'll
yeah.
email you. Sometimes they just want you to reach out to them, but you can just skip those. But yeah, yeah, just get comfortable with that calculator that I made. It's supposed to be like very simple back of the napkin math, and the whole point of like the underwriting for you at least is like just a quick like, does this even make sense for me to make an offer on, or what's like a quick offer that I can make,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? And then at that point, once they get your offer and they accept it, then you can do the really extensive deep dive. But for me, it's just
Yeah.
like what offer price makes sense based on the numbers you gave me. And if they just say no to that, then you just move on, right? Like
Hmm.
it's not going to be a win-win situation. So that's the
Yeah.
whole of the underwriting module that you're in.
It, for certain deals on Looked, I saw they include business, like a restaurant or hair salon downstairs, and then like 5 units upstairs or something. Like, do you know anything about like is the calculation different or?
Yeah, so those are mixed use buildings. I'm not a big fan of mixed use buildings because it's kind of weird, right? It's like not really apartments and it's not really retail strip centers. So for me, I'd rather just do apartments or just do retail strip centers, right? Like they don't need to be together. Um,
Mm.
unless it's like your own business that you're running. So I have one student who um, he bought a 12 unit in Ohio, but then now he's like, oh, I want to like own a mixed use where like the bottom is like commercial, and then I have houses above where I can live and then rent those out, and then use the bottom for my own purpose for business.
Oh, that's cool. He lives in Ohio.
No. He's based in Southern California, where I'm
Oh,
at
okay.
actually. But yeah, I was just like, well, if that's the purpose that you want it for, then that's ultimate house hacking, right? You're living there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
using it as your own office space, and then you're renting out the floor. In that case, it's a different purpose. But for pure investment wise, I'm not a big fan of that. In San Francisco, there's a lot. I was looking at mixed use buildings in San Francisco actually, like kind of like in the Chinatown area, or like crap, I'm blanking out, like Ocean area. They
Mm-hmm.
had a lot like the bottom's like a restaurant, and then above it people would live.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I would love to like just live in one of those units, and then I can get rental income from the restaurant. But for mixed use buildings, the loans are not as like favorable because it's kind of like it's not commercial. I mean, it's not like office. It's weird. It's a weird mix. I just didn't
Uh,
really like it. So for me, I would just be like, I'd rather I mean, obviously, I'm biased towards multifamily, so just buy a multifamily separate, and then if you want down the road to venture into office space or retail strips, then buy one separately, right? Like when you start your direct mailing campaign, you're gonna get a lot of people reaching out to you of retail strip centers because sometimes the tax records, the county records, sometimes they misclassify them. So sometimes it'll be apartment, sometimes it's a retail strip center. So like
Mm,
when I did my mailing campaign, when you do yours, a lot of people are gonna call you with like warehouses, retail strip centers. So you
mm,
have the opportunity to see both. Like I remember my 20 unit, this guy called me for a medical office building across from a hospital. And I was tempted on making an offer on it. Uh,
Another one, yeah.
yeah, another one. And, because like office building, I mean, I work in healthcare. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is across the street from the
Mm,
hospital. And, it's a bunch of medical clinics. And I understand that stuff, but decided not to do it. I'm like, little shiny object syndrome, right? I guess I said no to that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I would just say stay away from that unless it's for like your own personal use. Then by all means, go for it, right? But if it's like for
Mm,
investment, I'm not a big fan of that.
yeah. Uh, do you know you're saying like loans might not be favorable because it's mixed? I mean, I think it's just like a one restaurant and then like 6 units above. So it's like total seven. And I was like, oh, maybe like because if there's a restaurant and multifamily, it could be like, I don't know. Um, it's almost like 7 units.
Yeah, I think banks just view it differently because there's higher risk when you have a business at the bottom. Obviously, if it's like a
Mm,
restaurant, it catches on fire, burns all your units above.
mm,
And restaurants, you cook a lot there. It's just more risk. I think it's just like I think insurance is gonna be more difficult, and I think lenders are more challenging. But I don't. That's just off of what I know. The best bet is to like actually talk to like lenders who lend on mixed use if you want to go down that route, and just
mm,
know that um, those lease units, there's a lot of cost that we don't. So there's something called TI, right? Tenant improvement. So when a tenant, let's say that restaurant leaves, and then someone else wants to lease your space, and let's say it's not a restaurant anymore, then you're gonna have to like give them money so that they can fix everything up to make it
mm,
fit how they want it to be. And then
mm,
typically with business leases, they just can walk away from the lease, right? Like if the business is not doing well, they just can walk away from it. And then
mm.
also, I think for business, it's like it's more passive in a way, like because it's like double net or triple net. So they just pay you rent, they pay utilities, whatever the lease is. But um, it's just additional headache in some ways
Yeah,
because if it's vacant, it takes a while to lease it out too. Like
that's true. Yeah. Hmm.
apartments, if someone leaves, I just turn it and then I rent it out to someone new. It's like a pretty fast process.
Mm,
So I don't know. For me, I'm just all about residential real estate because people need a place to live, right? Like if your business is not doing well, you're gonna give up your business first, not where you live. So
yeah.
that's just kind of my mindset, and maybe down the road if I'm like worth a lot of money, maybe I'll invest in like triple net. But like right now, it just doesn't make sense for me. Uh,
Mm, okay.
yeah.
Sounds good. And I was looking at alumni and it's seemed like 30 to 40% higher than when I look at their NOI and calculating the value. Is
Mhm.
it worth submitting offers still on that with the calculation we do and just, because they might take it, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's kind of like I was the type, and I teach all the students like always write an offer because it just shows that you're serious enough to write an offer. And the offer, I give you the letter template, right, or the LOI template in the
Mm,
course. It's like a one-page document, and it takes like literally like 5 minutes to do it. So like to me, I always was in the habit of submitting offers just to show that like, hey, I'm serious enough to submit an LOI, right? Like I'm actually backing up what I'm saying I'm doing, and I'm taking action.
yeah.
So to me, I just say submit offer, and worst case they say no. Right? It's just like a numbers game. It's like the analogy I always use, like it's like dating, right? It's like if you ask 100 people, someone will say yes eventually, but if you
Yeah.
never ask, then you may not get that one. And in the game of real estate, it's you just need one good deal, and that's enough to make you financially free. So I always leaned on like just submit an offer, just submit it.
Mm.
Like, even if you think
Did
it's
you?
even if it's half of what they want, just submit it and just be like,
Yeah.
I can tell you why this is my offer if they entertain you at all.
Did you actually send offers on like deals on LoopNet when you were doing?
Yeah, I did. Well, when I first started, I was sending offers on LoopNet, but then after that, I just went off market and just said because the whole point of the homework assignment is you'll realize that the deals are overpriced on LoopNet,
Yeah. Hmm.
and that's the whole point of the assignment was to help you know what a bad deal looks like in your market that you want to be in, right? So
Mm.
I want you to be able to know quickly like what a bad deal is in Philly or whatever you want to invest, so that when you do your direct mailing campaign and someone's reasonable, you're like, okay, what they're asking for isn't crazy, right? It's actually reasonable, not like overpriced.
Mm.
And then once you know that, you know it's a more serious seller, so that you can take these deals down. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of the exercise. But if you want to get the habit of writing offers, then I will just write offers on these properties and see what happens. But with LoopNet, every time I wrote offer, they just would like ignore it or be like
Mm.
counter offer, best and final, counter offer, best and final. They just
Oh, I
repeat
see.
it like 10 times until like it doesn't even make sense for me to like make an offer anymore. So
Mm.
so I would say just do it, just to get in the habit of doing it if that's most beneficial to you. But realistically, I mean, it's hard to get a deal on LoopNet. I mean, it's possible, right? I listened to a lot of podcasts. People bought all their deals on LoopNet because they got lucky and they just happened to talk to it was the owner that was listing their own deal on LoopNet. And if you find those
Mm.
type of deals, then those are better.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so yeah. So I mean, it's worth it. You never know, right? You might stumble across, make an offer, and then it could turn out to be an owner, and he knows other people who owns real estate, and they might refer you over to them. So like,
Hmm.
I just say it's like buying a lottery ticket, right? You just
Yeah.
give
And it's
yourself a.
free. The
It's
best
free,
part.
right? It costs you absolutely nothing, right? That's why I love
Yeah.
like social media and YouTube. It costs me nothing to like post a
Yeah.
video online. It costs me nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you
Yeah.
have to lose? You just wasted your time, and even if you waste your time, at least you got in the habit of making offers and you're serious. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that, right? So I would say, yeah, just write an offer. Get in the
Yeah.
habit
Okay.
of writing offers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I just had those questions from the module because I didn't get to too far. But yeah.
How far are you?
The homework assignment.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, yeah, it's go through all the modules and you'll learn quite a bit, and then you'll have
Yeah.
questions, and then it's supposed to like the way I made the course was like as you go through it, you have questions, and hopefully the next
Oh,
module will
it
answer.
answers right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. That's a lot of the feedback that I've gotten. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe I should go through and then ask you questions. Yeah.
yeah, just go through it, and then as you think of it, you just can like shoot me an email, and then like I've been like because I have an electric car now, so I have to sit there and wait as I charge. So like I
Mm.
just literally answer questions, record myself answering questions now
Yeah.
from people, and I upload it because I'm sitting there for like 25 minutes.
Yeah. Is
Um,
that you're part of expanding your expenses? I read your weekly email.
oh yeah. No, my car I had for 10 years like broke finally, so
No. Perfect timing.
I upgraded to like a Tesla, and
Nice.
then
Congrats.
yeah, everyone drives that in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to sit there for like 25 minutes charging.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I'm like, oh, what do I do? So I'm just like answering questions and recording content. So any question you have
Yeah.
specifically, just let me know. But I've just been sharing what I've learned and learning and realizations
Yeah.
um, I've
Uh,
had.
mm. Is there a calendar invite for this weekly call?
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, do you have a calendar invite for this weekly
Oh yeah,
call?
there is. Sorry, I can just send it to your email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you clicked on the newsletter. That's how you found it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you an actual calendar invite to that. And I usually will pop on. I don't see you when I pop off, but if you do pop on, just email me and I'll pop on later.
Yeah.
I usually give it like a few minutes, and then if no one pops on, then I just go on.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool,
no
cool.
worries. And
Well,
then yeah, and then you have a Facebook group too, right? Can you
yeah, I do. It's not very active, I'll be honest.
uh, okay.
But I can send you an invite if you want. It's up to you. You want it? It's not very active at
Uh,
all. Most people just email me directly. I feel like I attract all the introverts who like just want to talk to me.
oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's okay then. Yeah, maybe I'll just talk to you too then, and then maybe like if it gets a little active, more active. I think
Yeah,
I
yeah,
will. It'd be nice to meet people who are like going through the same thing. But I
yeah,
understand if they're more introverted.
yeah. Because like I mean, geez, one student of mine bought a deal, like bought my course, and then like in 2 weeks they got a deal. I think they bought my course because they got the deal. And then the other student, yeah, he was 1031 exchanging one of his properties, and then
Mm.
he bought, found about me, did my whole course, and then he basically bought 12 units in Ohio. Um, so those are like
Did
my
anyone get something from direct mail, like you, or not yet?
um. So yeah, one got through direct mail.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
so like direct mail is the best way to go. Like when I'm ready to send letters out, I'm gonna do direct mail. Like
Yeah.
I hope interest rates drop during the presidential elections, and then at that point, I'm gonna do pull out all my money and then go buy
Yeah.
real estate. So I hope during the election period they drop the rates down to like below 5%, so I can just
Mm.
start buying more deals. But until then, I'm just kind of stuck on the sideline. But the moment interest rates drop and I cash out a refinance, I'm gonna send out a bunch of letters again. Um,
Mm.
and then this time I'll be documenting like my phone calls and like everything so that
Mm.
you guys can learn too.
Yeah.
Um, and then what I tell, like, whenever you start sending letters out, like record your conversation with the owners or the sellers, and then
Mm.
I can debrief it, go over it with you, right?
Yeah,
See
that's a
how
good
you could
point.
improve and what you could have done better, or like how to ask and phrase things. It just takes like repetition and practice. Uh,
Mm.
but you seem pretty smart based on limited conversation.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
see.
yeah. Based on limited conversation and with you, so I think you'll pick up fast. To be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Oh, and then one last request. If you're ever gonna post a video from last time, can you just not use my last name? I think that's the only request. Or if you're not gonna post it, that's okay too.
Oh yeah, I think I snipped it into like 3 videos, and honestly, it was just like you asking the question and I answering it. So
Okay.
it didn't really have much about you um in there, but it's like scheduled like 2 months out. So
Okay.
it's
I
like
think,
super.
yeah, I don't want my last name to show up. At least, I don't know.
Yeah, you do have a unique name, I will say. So
Yeah, if you search it, it's like I'm there, my like LinkedIn or whatever.
the one and only, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Steven Nguyen is like there's so many Steven Nguyen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But hey, man, you have a memorable name, so people remember you too, though. So I mean, with the owners, they'll remember you.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. Okay,
All
cool.
right. All right.
All
Thanks
right.
for hopping
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Good night.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.